Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate the decreasing rows for Fortune's Wrap. Now you see before you a little bit of a corner here of Fortune's Wrap. It's too big to get all on screen right now, but basically this is a corner to corner pattern. So this right here, the sparkly bit, that's done with some Crochet blending filament, very pretty and sparkly, but that's added on later. So the pattern actually starts in a corner here and works out diagonally so that you end up with a triangle. So earlier I made a video describing how to do this for Fortune's Shawlette. And in Fortune's Shawlette, you work up in this triangle and then you work a border across there to create a triangular shawl. Fortune's Wrap, again, it's hard to get it all on screen, but it's actually rectangular. So in order to do that, you have to do it a little bit differently. Let me show you how that's done. To demonstrate this, I'll be using, I'll get it turned around here, Lion Brand's Lion's Pride Wool Spun, which is actually a nice bulky. The original pattern for Fortune's Wrap is using their Superwash Merino, which is a DK, so it's a little bit lighter, but I'm going to demonstrate with bulky, so it's a little bit easier to see on screen. So here I have the increasing rows, and if you don't know how to do this part yet, definitely do check out that video for Fortune's Shawlette. Again, that's on the YouTube channel or on mooglyblog.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, always check the links in the description. That's got all the links you'll need to answer 99% of your questions. So here I started in this corner and I've been working diagonally, increasing on both sides. So this creates that triangle shape. In Fortune's Shawlette, we just even that out to create our little triangle. But here I want to create a rectangle. So to do that, I'm going to have to increase on one side and decrease on the other. And it doesn't matter which is which as long as it's consistent. Keep increasing on one side and keep decreasing on the other. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I have made 5 rows, which you can count very easily with this pattern by counting the blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the original pattern, again, linked in the description, it's 25 rows, but I'm just going to do a small version here for the sake of time. So let's make this first side the increasing row. So on this side, you're going to start off just as you would have every row before this one. We're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me turn my skein around. It's catching a little bit there. There we go. Pull up some yarn. Okay, so now I am going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. Again, this is how we've started every other row up till now. Chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet in the next one, like so. And that's one block. Turn it around so I'm facing the right direction here. I'm going to slip stitch in the next one. And that was our increase side. I've added a block on this side. If I were to count along this side, there'd now be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. So at this point, I'm going to keep working across, and the difference comes on this end where I'm actually going to decrease. So let me work a standard block here for Fortune's Wrap. Chain 3, double crochet in that chain 3 space again. Chain 1, double crochet back into that chain 3 space, pull up some more yarn, slip stitch into the chain 3 space here, the next block you've come to, chain 3, double crochet, and I know I'm going through this a little quickly. Again, if you're not familiar with this stitch, please watch the video for Fortune's Shawlette that shows how to do this part of it a lot slower, a lot more detail. This is kind of when you're further on in the pattern. Oops. So you've been doing these blocks for a while. So pull up some more yarn. I love bulky yarn, but you do run through that yardage. All right, there we go. Now, you can see I've just joined up to the second to the last block here. Normally, up till now, I would have added another block here and then another block here at the end, so that I would have had 6 blocks counting up this way and 6 across. But instead, since this is our decrease side, this is going to be the last block I make for this one. So 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, back in that chain 3 space. And then just as before, I'll slip stitch in that chain 3 space, like so. But instead, again, instead of adding another block there, I'm going to go ahead and stop. So if we count our rows, we still just have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even though now I've made 6 rows of the pattern. So that was an increase side followed by a decrease side. This is our decrease side, so it stays our decrease side. This stays our increase side. This is how we get the long rectangular shape. So in order to continue decreasing on this side, rather than chaining 6, I'm just going to turn, then I'm going to slip stitch in that last double crochet we made, slip stitch in the chain space, slip stitch in that last double crochet, and then I'm going to pretend as if I've sort of increased and come back to this one. So I'm going to slip stitch in this chain 3 space and make my next block right there. So I'm going to keep making blocks across just as I normally would, and I will see you when I get to the end of this row. Okay, so I'm coming to the end here of and I'm back at the increase side. So now I'm going to increase again by chaining 3 and making a block right on top of this one. So you can see this is our 7th row now. And on this side where I'm always increasing, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. But because we're decreasing on this side, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks in this row. So you can see already we're starting to get that rectangular shape. This side is still increasing, but this side is now cutting in. And as we keep working, it's going to keep working that way. So we can get our long rectangle as long as we need. So again, in the shawl, in the wrap pattern, there's a set number of rows. Of course, you can alter that if you're more petite, you want it shorter, you want it longer, you add, subtract as many as you want. Just make sure you have the same amount of these blocks in each row. So let's say we've got this part as long as we want the whole shawl to be. That means it's time to fill in this empty triangle that's left right here on the side. So let's go ahead and fill that in. To do that, what we're going to do is start decreasing on both sides. So this side, we'll keep this straight line, but by decreasing on this side, we're going to come over this way to meet it. So let's do that. Just like we were decreasing on the other side, I'm going to turn, I'm going to slip stitch right in this first double crochet we just made. Since we just finished it, you could theoretically skip it. I like to go ahead and slip stitch in it. Either way is up to you. Slip stitch in the chain 1 space, a lot easier than trying to go into the chain. Slip stitch into the second, double crochet, slip stitch into the chain 3 space, and you're ready to make your next block going up this way. So I'll see you as I get to the end of this row. All right, and here we are coming to the end of this row, which for us I think is row 8, but it could be whatever number you're at in the pattern. Remember, you can always count that up until you start decreasing on both sides. At that point, you're just going to need to keep track. So I've slip stitched to that last block in the previous row, and then I know it's time to decrease again because at this point we're decreasing on both sides. We're looking at it from the other side now, and because we're decreasing, now we've only got 4 points. Remember, before we had 5, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. What we're going to do is slip stitch across here, then just fill in this one, then this one, then this one for just 3. Slip stitch to that, fill in that one and that one for 2. Slip stitch that, and we'll end with just 1 block. And that fills in that rectangle. So for Fortune's wrap, you go ahead and make that rectangle, and then you go back and add your trim pieces. So again, look for the links to all that in the comments. Or excuse me, in the video description, if you're not already watching it on mooglyblog.com. Come on over to mooglyblog.com and you'll find a lot more information and details on the things you've seen in this video. One thing I do want to point out though, while I have your attention, you'll notice that the fabric here is quite a bit bunchier. This is partly an issue with I'm using a lot thicker yarn. without bumping up the hook size as much. The original pattern used much thinner yarn, but also with a large hook, which helped make it a little lacy. But this is also part of the pattern itself, is that it bunches while you're crocheting it. And I've had a lot of questions about this. If you look at the finished wrap, you notice the stitches have really opened up and are quite lacy. This is not just because it's a thinner yarn with a big hook, but also because it's been blocked. To block it, all I did was get it really wet and then stretch it out to dry, and that really let that lace pattern open it up. So if you're one of those people who's been crocheting it and saying, why is it all bunchy? Why isn't it all nice and lacy? Blocking is definitely the key. So that's all there is to making Fortune's Wrap. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the pattern. If you've liked this video, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching.